What is up, you guys? Welcome back to another edition of the podcast. My name is Ramon, and this is Dad's podcast project. And today we are in another transitional phase with what is going on globally with this coronavirus, and to provide some up to date things as to what's going on with my family and here in our house. Initially, we were questioning whether or not my wife was going to continue working. We thought that maybe she would stay home to watch the kids due to the fact that school was going to be out for them. And this is definitely not something that everybody has the option of doing. I understand that, and it was something that it was a hard discussion for the both of us to have on what would be the best course of action to take. And ultimately, we had decided on doing that. So she ultimately went in and was going to give her notice, and then things changed. Things changed very quickly. It's continuing to change day to day, moment to moment. We're getting updates like tomorrow. I'm sure there'll be something new, but as of yesterday, I want to say the county that I live in issued a shelter in place order, and now this isn't like a full on you have to stay locked in your house or fear the punishment of being arrested or fined. But it does mean that businesses are now going to take it a little bit more seriously and not staying open. Now, this is subject to, places like gas stations and hospitals, of course, grocery stores. Those will still remain in business and going. If you have a doctor's appointment, they said you can go. If you have to get groceries, you can go. There are a number of things that you can leave your house to do, but all in all, they want to just lay just this blanket over the entire sort of county and say, well, given the severity or the seriousness of this, we want everybody to just go ahead and stay in place until further notice, which I think was supposed to be April 17th. Of next month. So April 17th, that's maybe is it 3 weeks or 2 weeks from now? Might be a full month actually, come think of it. So it was kind of like a spooky thing to consider. Now, I don't work in the county that I live in. So here is where the gray area comes up. And bear in mind, the story that I'm about to tell is going to have a little twist and change near the end. But I was under the impression that, okay, well, I was staying home with the kids because they're out of school right now. My wife is going into work. She's going to tell her employer she's going to stay home. Then I'll go back to work and we'll just make that happen. That is not what the plan ended up being. So because the county that I live in decided to do a shelter in place, the company that I work for then took that as, well, all employees who live in that county, y'all got to stay home. And now whatever other people might feel about that, that's in unto itself on them. As for me, there's nothing I can do about that. I've just got to roll with the punches. I can't. This is a serious thing, and people are taking it seriously, and I can't force my beliefs onto this. It's like, as a family, we'll make it work. Is it stressful? Yeah, but on the side note, there are a lot of other things that we can also take ease in knowing, and that's having an advanced PTO that's offered, as well as the president signing a bill that allows for an additional 2 weeks of PTO. Now, who is affected by this are the many people who don't have jobs. I want to say full-time students. There are a lot of people who are going to be, this is not going to cover. As for me and mine, this is something that we can take comfort in knowing that we have available to us. So though there is stress, it's like it's postponed. The stress is pushed out a little bit further. So it's a decision that, any company can make, and the company that I work for, they decided to make this decision. So I respect it. I spoke with one of the bosses just to get the full context because, again, you don't want to hear any type of information like this just sort of secondhand. Though I was hearing it from my like not my employees, but my coworkers, I wanted to get it straight, direct from the source as to what's going on. What are like is the thought process, like what's going to happen going forward. And I was assured that this is the course of action, that for or for the county that I live in, it's what's going to happen until at least they decide to end this shelter in place, or if they decide to continue it, then well, we'll continue to not go to work. So then at that point, we'll have to look at some other options and hopefully not stress. But like I stated before, this whole thing has a little twist to it. So not only was I informed of this earlier today, and it was a ever progressing thing, I then informed my wife via text that, hey, this is what's going on. I'm going to be home with the kids for at least the next 2 weeks, guaranteed. So maybe we think about you not putting in your notice and you continue to work, because her job is considered an essential position, or it's an essential, well, I guess essential position. So that is what it's considered. They're not shutting down. So at least we have that. There's no sense in both of us staying home because that would be really scary. So she ended up letting them know. And then I get an email later. Oh, by the way, if you live in that county, but you work in a different county that doesn't have a shelter in place, you can go to work. And now it's like, well, now I kind of can't, because initially my wife was going to stay home and watch these kids and then I would go back. But now I kind of like, now we're in this position where unfortunately, I'm going to be out for a little bit longer. Like I kind of made my bed and it's time for me to lie in it for a while. So then there was another twist, another change in the dynamic. So everybody was sort of still wondering what is going to happen now in the county that I work in. Are they going to do a shelter in place? Because the entire state, it sort of seems like they're all just this domino effect. One county's doing it, then another county, then another city, then another city. And it was sort of just this county that I work in, that they're sort of like the lone survivor, that one of the last of the Mohicans going. And it's like, well, they're probably going to do it too. It's just we don't know at what time. So they had a city council meeting. They announced that they were suggesting that elderly people go ahead and do a shelter in place. And this is the same song that we've heard here in this county. It happened 2 days ago. They're like, start with the seniors staying in place. And then eventually it was like, you know what, we're just going to do the whole kit and caboodle. Everybody go ahead and stay in and shelter in place. So we figured that in the next couple of days, that's probably what's gonna happen. That's probably what's gonna be the result of this. So sure enough, they didn't make the decision, but the governor of California ended up saying the entire state is recommended to go ahead and shelter in place. And now I don't think that anybody out on the streets, like you're going to get fined or you're going to get arrested or anything. And as far as I know, don't take my word on that. Don't let this be your only source of news or information. Please do your own research. But I think that in regards to like employment, yeah, your employer is probably going to say, well, we're closing our doors because of this. Nobody wants to be liable. It's a huge risk. This coronavirus or COVID-19, it spreads very quickly, and people are kind of worried because we don't necessarily know the full extent of this. Like if it were to like get out of control, I listened to Will Smith. He was talking to his wife on her show and conveying the message that where he lives, I believe there's like 40 respirators that they have at their hospital. So that means 40 people who are an assistant or who need that assistance can get it. And that's not saying that those 40 aren't already currently taken, or some of them aren't currently taken by people who just need them. They don't even have the coronavirus. And so if it reached extreme pandemic proportions, well, that means if 50 people need it and 40 are taken, well, 10 just aren't going to get it. I mean, that's the simple math, which is why there's a video by Kirkskazad. I'll provide a link in the show notes or in the link down below if you're watching the YouTube video. You've probably already seen it. It's trending like on their top trending page, but still, for those of you who haven't, check the links below. They explained it very well and in a much better way with their animations and just the way that they present their topics like these, and really just saying that you don't want it to get out of control, because that will cost a lot of people like a lot of lives will be lost, and you kind of want it to be like a slow kind of escalation, so that way hospitals don't get outside of the bounds of what they can do via resources or people, and you can kind of control the effects. There'll still be lives lost, but not to the extent if it were just to be blown way out of proportion, and it's like there are hundreds of people waiting for beds and there are no beds. And it's like, well, you're out of luck at that point. So that's kind of where we're at with things right now. I don't know. My employer, he sent out an email to everybody saying that I believe they may be categorized as like an essential business because what we manufacture is needed in industry. So we may be kind of in this gray area where it's okay for us to go. And I believe they're leaving it open tomorrow. But unfortunately for myself, and just given the circumstances, I'll be staying home with the kids, and my wife, she'll be working tomorrow and next week, and then we'll be reassessing the direction we want to go from there forward. As for being home with the kids, it's not been super stressful. I mean, the kids, they really haven't had a chance to even get out. So I commend them for their patience, because they've been indoors, and I bet they're probably noticing or wondering like, hey, we haven't gone to the store. We haven't gone to the park. We haven't gone to the library. We've not gone anywhere. What is going on? And just being in the house all day, I'm sure cabin fever settles in for kids as well. So trying to find a way to keep them busy and to keep them engaged has been something that's sort of on my mind, like before I go to bed, when I wake up. There's this great website that I found, which actually doesn't have as many, I guess, activity sheets as I thought, because after day 1 and day 2 is like, I'm going to have to find something else because there's not that much. But I think it's like daycareworksheets.com is what it's called. And they have a couple worksheets where you can practice writing letters. You can practice tracing, cutting with scissors, identifying colors, certain things like that sort of allow me to continue this form of education since my son is not in school right now. He's shown me that he definitely knows how to recognize certain words. So I think that I'll be incorporating maybe some book time where I'll teach him how to read a little bit more, and maybe he can start just reading books. Another thing that is definitely on my mind is signing up for, I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but ABC Mouse, which is like, it's an online app that has curriculum via an app. So you can either do it on the Kindle or an iPad. I think you can even do it on a computer, but just allowing my son to continue to learn and not just remain stagnant during this time. He's in a huge developmental stage. I think that kids, they're always in this developmental stage. Even as an adult, I feel as if I'm still developing myself, but mentally. But I don't want him to, I don't want to say like fall behind, but I don't want him to just sit around and just consume like video content like YouTube or or movies. Like I want him to learn something while he's home with me. So another sort of thing which I'll gauge if he's ready for it is teach him how to read a clock and tell time. Um, and who knows how long this will go. If I think we have maybe 2 or 3 months until our daughter is old enough to then go to the school that our son goes to. And at that time, we'll assess based on where we are as a country, as a planet with this disease, and what effects it's going to have going forward. I've heard things in the media that when it gets hot, it's going to go away. I've heard things that this is going to affect us for the rest of the year, guaranteed. There's a lot of things that are being said. And as for me, I just have to take it day by day. I have to prepare for the worst, but hope for the best. And I mean, we'll just see. We definitely cannot all just not work because of this. People have to work. We have mortgage payments. We have bills. Those aren't going away for anybody. There are people who have to make rent. There are people who have to pay their cable bill and their water bill. Those things are not going away. So this whole shut-in, or the shelter in place, it's great. I think that it hopefully helps provide those researchers the time needed to maybe come up with an antibiotic or a vaccine or something to combat this and help us to be able to step outside again confidently without fear. I was talking with my wife how, if the news were to talk about the flu the way they talk about this every single year and how many people are dying and keeping everybody up to date with a running tally on deaths, that we would be mortified every single day. Maybe people would be rushing to the stores to clear the shelves. But I think that something like the flu that just doesn't go away, everybody just kind of accepts it. Oh, it's flu season, whatever. It's a thing. I hear people die, but I don't know anybody who's died. That kind of thought process. And until it affects you, then maybe you consider things like antibiotics or I should say vaccines. Maybe then you consider being more diligent and washing your hands and who you come into contact with and how. But this is definitely shown. So it would be shined a light on just us as a people and how we remain clean and how we conduct ourselves. I mean, the store shelves are still barren for certain items, which is kind of depressing too. I went to the store the other day and I had to pick up some supplies and I got 2 or 3 things on the list. And it's not to complain, it's just that, when you walk down the aisles and you see that there are no tortillas, there's no rice, there's no flour, no masa, no deli meat, no bread, except for Hawaiian rolls. I don't know why people don't want to eat those. They're good. And you have to start getting creative. Like I bought 2 loaves of sourdough, like loaves. And these are like loaves that are designated in the soup section for making bread bowls. But it's like they're loaves nonetheless. I mean, I can still slice these and make bread, like toast with it. So having to look outside the box of what you would consider like normal. I mean, they had hot dog buns from the deli. They weren't even like on the bread shelf. They were from Vaughn's actual deli, hot dog buns. And I bought those. Maybe my years as a bachelor prepared me for times like these, but if any of you have ever had a hot dog bun, peanut butter and jelly sandwich, you know the struggle. It's like, I'm no stranger to, I mean, if I've got to cut hamburger into a shape that'll fit into a hot dog bun just to have a sandwich or a burger, then so be it. Bread is bread. It just comes in all different shapes and sizes. So other things is just the vegetable aisles were somewhat barren. there were still apples, there were still pears, but there were other items like cucumbers, and there were plenty of onions, plenty of tomatoes, but no potatoes, no what else? Carrots were gone. And just the overall, I mean, everybody's, at least in my experience going to the store, has been somewhat civil. Nobody's out like making a mad dash. I'm not experienced anybody reaching into my cart to try to take something. So everyone has been civil. I think that we just need a few more weeks of this to where we reach that sense of normalcy again. There's always like a mad dash in the beginning, and people want to follow in suit, kind of that snowballing effect. And once things settle and people realize that, hey, this is not going away, but we're getting restocked in the grocery stores, then people will probably mellow out a little bit, and we won't have bare shelves anymore. So that's just a little update as to what's been going on. As far as I know, I'm home with the kids, and my wife will be working. I'll be utilizing the advanced PTO and possibly even that additional 2-week PTO, just until we figure out childcare or we see what's going to happen with this. We want to definitely limit our exposure ourselves. However, this is something that, I mean, it's a decision that we can make. And I know that it's a decision that not everybody can make. Some people, they just have to go to work. There's no way that they can stay home, and they're hurting really bad. And, you know, my heart goes out. I have had conversations with my wife on, you know, emergency type situations. Like, what are we going to do? Though this is what we're doing now, I don't want anybody listening to think that don't prepare or that we're not preparing. That we got to take it day by day, and we're looking forward to the future, and we're seeing what it is that we can do to prepare for that. But yeah, that's where we're at. If you guys have made it this far on the podcast, I want to thank you for taking your time to listen. Feel free to let me know in the comment section down below how you're preparing, or what things are looking like over where you are located. I mean, are your stores bare? Are people panicking? Are you issued a shelter in place wherever you're living? Let me know. And as always, you guys, till next time, see ya.